68 recommendations were made by an inquiry team following the death of this toddler, Jasmine Beckford, in July 1984. She was starved, beaten and burned by her stepfather while in the care of Brent Social Services. 3 social workers were sacked, and the inquiry team, again led by Louis Blom Cooper, recommended longer and more specialised training for social workers. The death of Tyra Henry, also in 1984, left with head injuries, brain damage and 50 human bites, led to a life sentence for her father, Andrew Neal. Tyra had been in the care of Lambeth Social Services. A confidential report later pointed to alleged shortcomings and naivety on the part of social workers. But now, with the latest case of Kimberley Carlisle, the local government union NALGO are asking, is it enough to blame social workers and keep recommending improvements? At a news conference, they said the Kimberley inquiry report failed to tackle the central question of insufficient government funding and pointed out that Greenwich alone face a 15% cut in social services next year, leaving a budget too small to implement any of the inquiry's recommendations.
The main and simple fact is there's simply not enough money put into child protection. Unless there are lots of children who are at risk. Every single inner London borough has at least 20 or 30 children who could be at risk of exactly the same fate as Kimberley. It's time that central government took that issue on board and put in a massive influx of funds so that there can be more social workers, so that people are not overworked, are not required to work in appalling conditions and can actually do the job properly.
So how real a danger is it that this case could happen again?
I believe it could happen at any time. It could happen again tomorrow. There could be a scenario similar to the one that Kimberley was involved in happening even as we speak.
Hillingdon is one of London's better resourced boroughs, but they too are suffering severe problems. 5 specialist teams from 40 social workers deal entirely with child abuse cases. Their caseload is growing by the day.
It's pretty heavy. I think most social workers find that there just isn't enough time. There's continually new referrals.
I think we always feel that if we had more time, we could work better. At times you do feel under a lot of pressure and get very tired because of the nature of the work that you're doing.
Good quality social workers are leaving London because of the high cost of living, because of the stress of this work, because 10 out of 10 of their cases are these child abuse cases. In other parts of the country, the stress is less. They go to get away from the hassle. That's point number 1, a major staffing crisis emerging. Parts of London, cuts in services, rate capping, etc., leading councils not to be able to fill their posts. As a consequence of that, some of the inner London councils, like Haringey, Hackney, Camden, they've now got proven child abuse cases that can't be allocated to workers. As a consequence, children are living at home at risk.